Unscripted, uncut, and unpracticed. It's a live edit for this week's In Post. Hi, I'm Scott Davenport. Welcome to In Post. This week it's a live edit, taking a couple of the photos from Coronado from episode 150 of In the Field and put them through the processing engine here. Before I dive into that, if you have post-processing questions or anything else photography related, I'd like to hear from you. Please contact me directly through my website, comments on the video. I'm on a variety of social media platforms as well. Any way you'd like to get a hold of me, it'd be good to get your question, because your questions help feed the idea machine behind this show. And also, your questions will help us all. Right? I'll have to think about my photography. My answers will hopefully help you, and we all become better photographers together. And with that, let's get into the live edit. If you saw episode 150 of In the Field, I had two photos at the very end of my shoot of the Hotel Del Coronado. And I like the story. There was a couple of folks sitting on a bench on one of them right here. And I did have some ghosting of a few folks that were moving around from place to place. But I have one other frame where the tripod was in the same spot. Those folks have moved on. Some other people have entered here. But I think I can do some nice masking of these together. And just kind of remove those ghost areas and just keep the folks that were sitting there pretty calmly and stilly. I'm going to start with the first photo here and just bring this over into Develop. And we'll start with our basic things. So lens corrections, we will turn on the profile. And I don't have to worry about chromatic aberrations. That's usually all taken care of by the built-in profile, but hey, there's no harm in checking the button. Into basic, let's take a look at what my white balance should be. This is all white material. Let's try and click right there. See what that does. Not bad. Let's try an auto setting and see if that's going to give us anything a little bit different. A little closer, actually. Let me undo that and see what we got. That was very cool. Redo. That was very warm, and it was not doing any tinting. I'm going to cool it down just a little bit because it was night. That's feeling a little more accurate to me, or at least the mood that I want to have here. Great. Okay, exposure. Exposure is fine. I can see that we've got some J key here. We've got a little bit of spectral highlights in the lamps. That's okay. Let's play around with contrast. I'm going to hit the V key and do my contrast in black and white, and subtle amount there. Not too much. V key again to go back to color. Let's set white and black. Well, white, we already know we've got some blowout there at those highlights. That's going to be okay. Black, option key, click, and I'm going to drag it down to the left. Don't need to go far at all. I'll take a little tiny bit of those clippings for the deep shadows in the corners. Right, now let's open up the shadows so we can see a little more of the hotel and those trees. I'm going to bring back in the highlights, and we should start to see a little better crispness in some of those lamps, as well as I'm looking in particular here where the Babcock and Story bar, the Shearwater sign, those are getting a little tighter too, because the highlight kind of glow that'll happen around a lit sign will get cut down as you reduce the highlights. All right, not bad. It still feels a little dark to me. Let me even try. Let's try nudging exposure just a tiny bit. I know I'm going to have blown highlights in those lamps. That's a little better. That's more. I can see the hotel better. That's important. We can darken the sky with color stuff later. Clarity. And just playing and rotating here. Just rocking my finger on the trackpad, really. I don't need a lot. I think that looks pretty good. Add a little bit of vibrance. I certainly want the reds of that hotel to come through more than they are right now. And actually, saturation will help that, because red and orange in particular are very sensitive to saturation. So that's pretty cool. Let's take one more look here at color. Let's open up HSL. Saturation, I'm just going to use the little double-headed arrow, click that and drag up to deepen those blues a little bit. Let's go really far for a second. There, that's way too far, but we can start to see the difference here. That's good. And what about darkening that a little bit with the luminance side of it? Bring that down. Now I want to bring it back up a little bit with the saturation. So playing a little bit there. Let's see before, after. I like that. Let's also go back to the reds of the hotel. So we got red, Click on that. I'm going to drag it up really hot here. All right, that's obviously too much, and it's affecting the oranges too. All right, undo that. I don't like that. What about hue and shifting that red to a deeper red? So I'm dragging downwards, so this slider is going to the left, more red. Let's undo and redo. I like that. I like that little bit of shift in the hue for those reds. So that's pretty good. I think I want more detail in the hotel. So I'm going to go to detail and grab the masking slider. I'm going to press the Option or Alt on a PC and open that like that. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing, all right, I see a few stars in there, and actually it reminds me I forgot to do my spot removal, so I'll have to go back to doing that. Now, add a little more detail, a little bit on the radius. And we can see here the roof is starting to get more of those details showing up. That looks pretty good there. It's still feeling dark to me. I'm gonna go back to that basic panel. Open up a little more. Just, yeah, gosh, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and keep exposing that up. I think I'll do that because when I vignette it, these will become, you know, much darker in the foreground. I don't want all this the grass to be showing there. It's not that it's bad, but I want my focus to be on the hotel. So I think I'm going to keep that exposure high there. What did I say? I forgot to do spot removal. Q key, A to visualize the spots. They're clean. I mean, that's just stars, and I mean I could remove them, but they're not going to bother me either way. I'll take out a couple of the ones that look kind of quote unquote big. For those of you who've been watching the show for a while, you can obviously tell I had my sensor clean. The last time I did this, it was a nightmare. So I did finally get my camera cleaned, and it is nice and great now. I don't have to worry about anything else. Right, that's spot removal. Okay, that looks good. Now I want to take these settings and apply them to the other photo of the hotel. So let's click that one. And I'm just going to hit the previews button. That's going to take everything from the previous photo, apply it to this one. And I got the same exact settings. Everything's looking great. Here's where we're going to do the masking. Right, I want to take these two photos of the same scene, same hotel that have people moving through. I'm going to bring those into on-one layers, do a little bit of quick masking to make a couple of folks, you know, those ghosted areas disappear, and probably add to my vignette in on-one since I really like the vignette tool there. So let's get these two things into on-one. G key to go back to the library and the grid. Highlight those two photos. We'll say File, Plug in Extras. I want to open them as layers in Layers 10. All right, here we are in Layers, and on the top layer, got most of what we need. If I hide that, on the bottom layer, we can see where I had those ghosting areas here. Most of what came in on the top is great. I think I just want to kind of downplay this person here in the center. So I will grab masking brush. I want to have a nice big feather, so let me drag that up 70% or so. Make the brush size a little bigger with my bracket key, and just kind of click through there and kind of brush that away. Now I'm getting a little bit more ghosting here. Let's minimize that. X key, kind of paint there, maybe a click there. Undo that one, that was a little bit messy. Click there. And this drink can or whatever that is, I'm going to click once on that and have that go away. That's pretty good. Now, really just kind of scanning around for anything else that might look distracting. And really, this is okay. I mean, the folks that are off in the background, everything. What about this? It looks like a server or a waiter. I'm going to toggle on and off. He's moving around a little bit. What if I were to, let's zoom in on that area. 100% over here. See a little bit of the grain from my lower ISO shot. X key to go into paint out, and we'll see how much of this can go away because I'm going to start picking them up over here, right? So undo. If I were to paint away part of him, this is going to look a little weird, right? This odd thing over here, that's not looking right. So I think I'm just going to leave him as is. It's not that distracting. While I'm zoomed into this area, off, on, Now it's definitely better with the folks as they were. I think my masking is done. And since this was such a simple masking job, there's not a lot of value for me personally to save these 2 layers. So I am going to merge them down. My merge one, this one here, merge layer. And that's going to squash those down into a single layer. So it keeps my file size down. I don't need to have, if I needed to regenerate this, I have the original raws, and that was not a big masking job. Turn that to a smart layer. And then last but not least, bring it into effects so I can add a vignette. And of course, since I'm in effects, I'm going to have to take a look at dynamic contrast because I always do. And that's probably going to add it adds a nice amount of punch, doesn't it? It's really nice. The thing I think I will do is do a quick mask just so that I'm not bothering any of this deep blue area. Dynamic contrast, it will try to add contrast in places. Any contrast tool will if you let it. And let's just paint through that spot too, just to make sure I've got everything. It looks like it did it pretty good in the first shot based on what I see in the small area there. Okay, not bad. We'll grab a refine brush, wiggle over that with a click, and then make that nice and big, kind of paint through there. Fortunately, the painting doesn't show up when I have the mask overlay scene, but I did do a big brush stroke across that palm tree area. That filled it in pretty nicely. Maybe even a click over on the flag so that we get some of that removed out of there, because that flag is flapping around pretty good. It does not need to be sharp and crisp. Before and after. Before, after. Yeah, that's really nice. We're going to keep that. All right, and now let's get that vignette added that I wanted to do in the first place. So here's the vignette. I may even go to Big Softy, which is pretty dark. It's nice. Let's back it off a little bit. Where is my center? I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. I'm going to bring the size down. I'm going to change the roundness so it's kind of opening a little more vertically, and then maybe even bump that size back up. Change the center point ever so slightly. I mean, this is the star, right? That hotel is the star. Size it down just a touch. Back up on that feather. That's nice. All right, so before we did anything in effects and after, I'm going to say that this one is complete. So that's it. We got our finished photo, a night at the Hotel Del. And so, yeah, I think this all in all came out pretty good. Tip of the week is the masking little trick to have tourists or ghosting or things removed. If you've got people that are moving through your frame, and either you are shooting with like a really thick neutral density to have people just disappear, or like me, take a couple of them. Because people are moving through your frame, and if you take 2 or 3 shots, then you have those shots available in post. You can mask away quickly, and then do your normal stylization. And that does it for this week in post. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. Social shares are always appreciated. Likes, +1s, anything else you'd like to toss my way. Love every one of them. Really, kind of feeds the engine here and keeps me coming back to do more and more videos. Until next time, my name is Scott Davenport, and happy shooting.